So if you saw my earlier Witcher video, you probably know that I was skeptical about the television show. I didn't like the casting choices, and for me, when you make stupid little decisions like not casting the right person, that normally means that the bigger decisions, story decisions, things like that, are going to be fucked up. Luckily for me, I was fucking wrong. So I'm a little annoyed because I've been online the past couple days reading reviews about the two things that I was not interested in, but I guess concerned about. So the first thing was Star Wars, The Last Jedi, or the Rise of Skywalker. The second was Witcher. Now, Skywalker has been getting a lot of good reviews. I don't mean that. I don't mean a lot of good reviews. It's been getting more good reviews than it should have been getting, but what I meant is a lot of people commenting or saying that they like Rise of Skywalker, which means that people are dumb as fuck. So everyone is getting dumber, it seems, because also I have a lot of people saying that The Witcher wasn't good. So I don't know why, but that's just annoying me, because this show is for me almost a masterpiece. So the show it has some missteps that it makes, but the reason I call it a masterpiece now, to be fair, I never read the book. I'm a lover of the game series, but I've never read the book. So I don't know if this is super faithful to the book, but according to a lot of people, it's pretty faithful to the book. So to pull this off, I mean, in the book, I forget the Polish guy's name that wrote it. He created this really big world with all these different races in it and characters and this hierarchy and these classes and stuff. So it's a lot to have to explore. And they didn't do it fully or properly in this first season, but it's the first season. So they spent a lot of time letting you get to know the essential characters: Yennefer, Ciri, and of course Geralt. And I think they did a good job. So Henry Cavill, or Superman, I didn't picture him as Geralt. I still wouldn't cast him as Geralt, but I was wrong about the casting choice. Again, I wouldn't pick him as Geralt if I was doing this, but he did a great job. He did almost a perfect job. The first episode, I was a little skeptical, because I'm not skeptical, but I was distracted because I'm looking out for all kinds of negative things. Somebody wrote online and they couldn't even get past the first episode. If you didn't get past the first episode, whoever wrote that, you're a fucking idiot and you missed out. Because the first episode is probably the best episode in the damn whole show. So in the first episode, I'm watching and I'm like, I don't really know if I like him as Geralt, but I quickly warmed up to the fact that he was Geralt. He did a great job. I thought he was like forcing the gruffiness of his voice, but after a while, it fell in place and it seemed normal to me. I don't like that they didn't use too many spells, but the fact that this guy, the fact that he was able to carry himself as this experienced, seasoned hunter, tracker, fighter, it was impressive. The combat was almost perfect. The first episode, the combat was unbelievable, and then it kind of fell off a little bit from there. It wasn't as great throughout the rest of the series, but that first episode, I mean, they really established Henry as Geralt. They did a really good job. Now, as far as the actress that played Yennefer, again, I would never have picked her. I still don't really like her as far as the looks go, because I think she looks too young, and she looks like she's Middle Eastern. So it didn't fit for me. Yennefer is this Nordic-looking, blue-eyed woman, and this girl is not Nordic-looking, and she don't have fucking blue eyes. So, and Yennefer's blue eyes is like a big part of her character. So, I never would have picked her. But the actress did I think she did the best job out of everybody in the show. Yennefer obviously is holding on to her youth, so she's using magic. She's making herself appear younger than she normally is. So she would look young, but I wouldn't pick somebody as young as this girl. The girl looked just a little too young. Yennefer is supposed to be this older, experienced woman. She has decades of experience. So while she has a young visage, you should still look at her and kind of see the experience and the aged wisdom that she would have developed over those years. You don't see that when you look at this girl. So I never would have picked her. But again, to the girl's credit, she acted the role so perfectly that she gave off that vibe of someone that has traveled and seasoned, someone that's been around. She did a phenomenal job. She did a really great job. She pulled me into the character. Again, I still wouldn't have picked her, despite how great, because I mean, when you're watching shows and movies and things, it's a visual thing, so that, you know, you do need that visual, reference to kind of let you know what the character is and who the character is. So I wouldn't have picked her, and I'll stop saying that now, because, as I said, she did a phenomenal job. She did a great job. And whenever she was on the screen, I know this is going to sound sexist and it's going to sound bad, but whenever there's the female characters on the screen, I don't want to say I lose interest, but it's whenever they're in a female, you know, I'm not a female, so most of these stories, the characters aren't written well enough, so it's, you know, I don't really associate with them or see myself in their situation because I'm not a female. So I kind of get a little distracted and my mind wanders. But this girl's acting, and of course the writing, you got to give credit to the writers, it held me. So she did a great job, and the writers did a great job. The girl that played Ciri, everybody in this did a great job. She's probably the best casting choice visually and professionally. Artistically, I don't know. She did a great job acting, and she looked like a young Ciri. So I loved her character. I wouldn't have picked the lady that played Triss. The lady was a gorgeous lady, but I just wouldn't have picked her. And she did a good job as Triss. She didn't do a standout, phenomenal job or anything. She did a great job, but I liked all the characters in there. The guy that played Dandelion did an unbelievable job. He did a great job, not only with the singing, but also with the comedy, playing off of Henry's Geralt. Great job. So I love the acting. I love the writing. The critiques that I have, they're small, but the critiques I have are, I felt they should have tried to develop the world differently. I felt like they didn't spend enough time developing the world. I mean, they did it a little bit, but it's a lot to The Witcher. So, maybe that's the reason why they felt they couldn't. Maybe they wanted to devote more time to developing Geralt and the other characters. And if that's the case, then they did a great job, because you learn about Geralt, you learn about Yennefer, you don't really get Geralt's backstory, which I think that's starting to annoy me now that I'm thinking about it. You don't really get Geralt's backstory, but you do get enough about Geralt where you're learning about him. You get Yennefer's full backstory. You learn about her, which is smart. That they get you to know about this woman, to learn about her, so she becomes an integral part to the story, because Geralt is the main part of the story, but Yennefer plays a big part too, so you want her to be as important, and by focusing on her backstory, you do that. You get enough of a backstory for Ciri. You get a backstory on the Mages Guild, so you get a lot of backstories, and they do it really well. Geralt and Yennefer's relationship, they established that, to me, better than the video games. They did a really good job on that, so I think the show was great. Some of the effects were not super great, but it's a fucking television show. I don't know what people are expecting. People are comparing this to Game of Thrones. Netflix doesn't have HBO's fucking money. They're not HBO, so they're not there yet. And despite not having their money, they did a really great fucking job. They did a really good job. The dragons looked pretty well. Some of the creatures that he fought looked, decent, but they did a pretty good job. And again, just the fact that they did the combat so well. They did. I can't praise it enough. Henry, this guy bulks up very easily. I mean, he bulks up like, you've seen him in Man of Steel. But being at his size, being able to spin around and pirouette, and he did a great job learning all the moves. They did a great job showing him, showing his combat style, incorporating some of his magic spells into the combat. Again, I don't think they did it enough, but at least they did it. There were points in the show. Again, I didn't read the books. I have the books, but I never got around to reading them. I'm going to read them now. So I don't know too much about these original stories that they're being based on. But most of the people watching this, or a lot of people, are probably fans of the video game series. And they paid homage to the book and to the video game series, so I got to give them credit for that. There were times in the show where I literally felt like I was playing the game, like I was watching a cutscene. They did it so well. So I got to give them credit for that. The mage battle at the end of the series, probably one of the best I've ever seen in anything. And I'm a big fantasy fan. Better than Lord of the Rings even. Just showing all these different wizards with their different types of spells, how they're doing the spells, the little ingredients that they're using to pull off these spells. I really can't praise the show enough. So again, as far as the bad things, I don't feel like they developed the world as well as they should have. Didn't really get a whole bunch of Geralt's backstory. I wish they had gone a little bit more into Geralt's backstory, into how he became the Witcher. I know the backstory, but I'd like to see it on the show, and other people should be able to see it. So they didn't really show that, him becoming the Witcher. They didn't show enough of the other Witchers. They show one? But that's minuscule. At least, well, Geralt's backstory is not minuscule. They should have done that. I don't know why they didn't do that. I guess there was too much other stuff that they had to focus on. So I'll give them, I guess, a little pass for that, but not developing or just talking about the different towns, different cities. I don't mean just mentioning them. I mean, like, you at least letting us interact and become comfortable and familiar with one or two of them. Hopefully next season they go to Skellige. It's my favorite part of the game. So them not developing that was a little bit a little weird for me. Somebody complained about them jumping back and forth in time. I didn't mind it at first. When I was watching it, I was like, why are they doing it this way? But I didn't mind it. It was something they were doing artistically, and it didn't take away from the story. Unless you're an idiot, you didn't not know what was going on. So just pay attention and keep up, stupid. So I didn't mind that too much. That wasn't a big deal to me. So I really don't have too many critiques. A lot of the things that were wrong with it were maybe some of the music, the soundtrack choices I didn't necessarily love. And I know this is going to sound racist, but there were too many black people in it. I know it's going to sound racist. I don't really care. But in medieval European-based folklore, it's based on European folklore, which is going to have majority whites in it. This had majority whites, but there were too many blacks, and then it felt like the blacks were like all shit characters. The woman was the black mage was the villain. The black guy that Yennefer loved or whatever, he didn't get the girl. And then the little elf guy was, I don't know, maybe I'm nitpicking. That's probably nitpicking to me, but for some reason, I just don't like, it seems like they're just being PC when they do that. It's like, don't do that. It's based on European folklore. It's like if I'm making a story about African mythology and African folklore, I don't expect to see too many fucking white people running around because it's based on African culture. So I don't know. That always bothers me. That bothered me a little bit. I don't know why, and I'm probably shallow for it, but that's something I didn't really like. But yeah, other than that, I really enjoyed it. Also, I wanted to compliment them on showing all the different aspects. So while they didn't really explain Geralt's backstory, they go into all these different aspects of his life. So you get to see how he's interacting with all of these different people, all these NPCs. You get to see him actually go on his hunts. The episode where he is saving the king's daughter, I think that was the king's daughter. That episode was literally like a mission in one of the games. It's like I was playing Witcher 3 and that was one of the missions. That was one of the story points. So they did a great job there because they immerse you into it, make you feel like you're actually playing the game, like you're actually watching the character work. He gets this mission, he does his research, he sets up the trap. It was just like the game, so I got to give them credit for that. It was like they tried to pay attention to everyone and give everyone a little something. So I love the show. Watch the show. Please watch the show. I am pleasantly surprised. I literally turned it on when I got home from work, or a little bit after. I think I started watching it at like 5 o'clock, and then I went to bed at 2. I couldn't turn it off. The last episode I was falling asleep just because I was exhausted from working all day, but it was that good that I could not turn it off. So watch it, and go online, please, if you enjoyed it, and go to these different posts and put some positive comments, because there's so many fucking negative. GameSpot gave that shit a fucking 4. They gave it the same rating as The Rise of Skywalker. I know it's nowhere. I mean, that I don't understand. I got to read their review and see why. But they gave it a 4. I was like, damn, I'm really looking forward to this. Now I don't even want to go home and fucking watch it. So I reluctantly put the show on, and based on my own fears and based on this fucking review from GameSpot, I'm sitting watching the first episode, and I'm like, I'm nitpicking at all these little things until after a while I was like, no, this shit's fucking good. And I just continued watching it, and I fell in love with it. So watch it. Let me know what you think. And yeah, that's it. Anything you want to say, honey?
No.
All right. Well, there you have it.